It's Monday night on the 17th of October 2016, and this is the Whiskers podcast, live. Hello and welcome to Monday night's edition of the Whiskers podcast. My name is Jono Bullard. Joining me tonight are Tina Taylor.
Hiya.
And Adam Reddish.
Hello.
We'll be moving on to Panthers against Giants a little later. We'll be discussing Panthers season so far and the rest of the other Elite League news and results. If you want to get in touch with us while we are live, you can do at Whiskers TV and use the hashtag TCWLive to give your opinions on anything we talk about or anything that's happened over the weekend. But first we're going to start with some very good news. We want to pass on our congratulations to the podcast co-presenter Andy Haywood and his partner Louise on the birth of their daughter. Thea Scarlett Haywood was born at 11:41am this morning, weighing £7 and 6 ounces. Mother and baby doing very well from what we hear, and we'd like to dedicate this edition of the podcast to Andy, Louise and little Thea. So, great news to start off.
Yeah, it's always nice to start a Monday off with something nice, and yeah, she looks like a little smasher.
She certainly does.
Does little Thea have a season ticket yet, though?
And I don't think you need one. I mean, I've taken Lucy in without a ticket, so...
I'm sure
I've probably revealed something terrible there, but yeah.
I'm sure
she will be. But seriously, congratulations from all of us. It is absolutely fantastic news. Now we're going to bring it down a bit by talking about yesterday's game at the NIC as Panthers took on the Belfast Giants. Giants winning 2-1 in overtime. Michael Forney opening the scoring for the Giants in the first period before Matt Carter equalised at 13:27. No further scoring in the second or third periods or overtime, and into overtime. Blair Riley winning it for the Giants at 63:06. I said yesterday in a tweet, I really don't know how we're going to get any length of time into this game because it wasn't a classic. But I'll ask you both first. Have you ever seen so many unforced errors from both sides?
No. It was ridiculous how both teams failed to hold on to the puck. And yeah, it was just... I don't know. It was dull because nobody could string a passage of play together. It was a really, really hard watch.
Yeah, it seemed like the puck was a hot potato. Nobody really wanted it. And yeah, to go along with what Tina said, it was a very, very scrappy game. So disjointed. You know, there was never any flow to it, which made watching it really, really difficult. You know, it was a big crowd there on a Sunday. I think it was a bit of a disappointing outcome, to be honest.
I mean, 43 shots on goal in total sort of really says it all. But should credit go to both defences for keeping it tight?
Well, I suppose so, but also at the same time you have to sort of look at why the forwards weren't able to actually get the passes through, you know, get the shots through to the goalies. I mean, 43 shots on goal on both netminders. I think Shane Owen would rip your arm off for a night like that because he gets that in one night just on his own a lot of the time. So it's, yeah, they didn't have a lot to do. So yeah, it's no surprise that the goal count was so low.
Yeah, I don't think there was really much that the defences had to do last night. It was a very, very quiet game for them. They never really seemed to be particularly challenged, or you know, there's never forwards climbing on the backs of D-men to try and make something happen. You know, just inject a little bit of interest into the game. So yeah, I'm sure that the defences yesterday will probably not have a quieter night than that game.
I mean, we usually have very good games against the Giants, both at the SSE Arena and at the NIC. But that was just so lacking in quality. There was I think I said to you, Adam, late in the third, I think there was one chance where there was a little bit of tip-toe passing and a shot in front. And I think I said to you, that's the first bit of quality we've seen the entire game.
It was. It's not a case that the defences took away the forwards' right to play. That wasn't the case yesterday. The defences were basically there, but the forwards were slightly incompetent in the sense that they didn't seem to figure out how to make those sequence of passes to try and unlock something and generate some offence. So very quiet days for the defencemen, and the netminders didn't see a lot of traffic at all.
And thoughts on the 2 penalties that were given out in the last 2 minutes, because there were a couple of soft ones given out. One against the Giants, against Brandon Benedict for interference with 3.5 minutes to go, and then another one against Jeff Brown for a high stick with 1 minute 14 seconds to go. Again, I think another phrase I said to you as you sit next to me, Adam, was if that penalty on Brandon Benedict had been given against the Panthers, I'd have been raging because it was very soft. Yeah. And then Jeff Brown gets a high sticking penalty that was again incredibly soft when the Giants player had his stick trapped underneath his arm. Yeah.
Strange calls, I thought, because generally the game was dull. There wasn't really much incident in it, but it's strange that the referee decided to call those 2 penalties so late in the game, which could have easily have had an outcome in the 60 minutes of regular time. So a little bit surprising and baffling, really. I didn't think either penalty was a penalty. As you said, if I was on the receiving end of that, I would have been very, very aggrieved. And in the end, it didn't cost either side, did it?
No.
Because ultimately, the goal that was scored was 3-on-3 hockey. But I think as a player, if you've played a reasonably hard game, I know it was devoid of quality, but if you've put a shift in for 57 minutes and then the referee starts to give penalties like that, I'd be a little bit cheesed off with that.
I think Darnell was probably bored. He'd had nothing else to do the whole game. I mean, it wasn't just that the game was devoid of goals; it was devoid of action, really. I mean, take away those 2 penalties. There were only 4 other penalties the entire game. So it was just, I don't know, normally we have more feisty affairs with Belfast. Normally it feels more engaged, but it just didn't feel like that at all, which just made it really odd.
Yeah, I was talking to someone today, and I'm sorry, I forget who it was, such is my incredibly lively life that I lead. We were saying that they're not seeing Keith Nickerson or McGrattan so quiet. There was never even any hint of anything kicking off in that game.
It was really odd because
no chirping, nothing off the play.
No, there was a couple of occasions where McGrattan actually sort of threw Nickerson into the boards, and nothing. No retaliation, back chat. Nothing along those lines. It was.
I suppose you give Giants credit for the players keeping the discipline in those circumstances.
Well,
because they're obviously short of bodies, as we are.
Yeah.
But, them being on the road and playing 2 games in 2 days.
I mean, for that you've got to give Giants a lot of credit because there was missing Demaray, Foster, Higgins, and somebody else.
Yeah.
But they have 4 imports down, and so they're playing with just 10 imports, and they played a great road game. I mean, we'll go on to their game. I will actually watch their game in Coventry live on webcast on Saturday, but we'll talk about that one later. But I think, considering that was their second game of the weekend and they were short of bodies, you've got to give them credit because it's not their job to come and entertain the NIC crowd. They're there to get 2 points, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. They played the road games they needed to play. I think, in terms of being short of bodies, you have to remember we are also short of bodies, and we've brought in Callis, which has obviously helped. I had a quick look at the game sheet. I think somebody's had a bit of a mare because they put Oakford on our game sheet, so it makes us look like we had one extra player that we actually didn't have. And I did notice McMillan was taking defensive shifts again, so he was busy being Mr. Utility. And with us still being short at the back, it does sort of confine Lindhagen to defence again. So in terms of missing bodies, we're not that much better off than the Giants, but you know, we obviously had the benefit of being rested Saturday. I mean, maybe that's a contributing factor, you know, because you know, you hear the guys talk sometimes, you know, they like to get the momentum and, you know, have a couple of games over the weekend, because if you do only have the one game, and especially with it being on a Sunday, you know, there's a sort of a tendency for it to be a bit slack. So maybe that's, you know, possibly the fault of the scheduling that made it such a dull game.
Yeah. Are there any positives we can take out of that game from a Panthers point of view?
We got a point.
Yeah. I mean, we joke, but we got a point. Yeah. We gained a point. So
yeah. I mean, if we played as badly as that against other teams, I think that there's a serious chance we would have got no points at all. So yeah, 1 point's a bonus out of that. If you consider how rank abject the performance was, you know, to take anything out of it has got to be a bonus.
Yeah, I suppose the other thing is that injuries, or lack thereof, of any further injuries, you know, not that we're aware of, you know, we're still missing the same bodies we were before yesterday. So that's got, you know, the way the season's gone so far, that's got to be a positive, surely.
I think for me, Max Artis scoring, he's started to find the net with a bit of regularity. He has had a lot of criticism, some of it justified, I must say, but he has found the net a couple of times now, and I don't think he knew a lot about it. He just threw his stick at the puck, but hey,
you know, you've got to skate to the front of the net, and if you get your stick in the way, you know, good things can happen if it flies over the shoulder of the netminder.
Thanks, Wayne. But you know, we got a point, so we still haven't had a regulation loss since we played Fife on the opening weekend of the season. That's good. We now have a bit of a break from league action going into the Continental Cup, give everyone else a chance to catch up a bit, and I think once the other teams are sort of up to 8-10 games, then we'll see where everybody is. I think, but hopefully it's just a one-off. It's a blip. And a lot of people have been saying that, to be fair. You know, I haven't seen too much of people wanting the hatchet bringing out just on the back of one bad performance. So, you know, let's see how we go. Let's see how we go on in Spain, and then see how we go on when we get back to league action, and see what the other results are. Because, yeah, that's the positive for me. It's not that bad, although the performance from both sides was pretty dreadful. And on the grand scale of things, it's not that bad at all. No. And we managed to stretch quite a bit of time. I'm quite impressed with the amount of time we have got a message from Andy, so he's obviously listening, obviously enjoying his last night before his life turns upside down. So he just says, thanks all, and she doesn't have one, as in a season ticket, but as Jono says, she doesn't need one yet, so I'm sure young Thea will be making her Panthers game debut very, very soon. Okay, moving on, and last night I managed to chat to a couple of other fans in the Bunkers Hill after the game. We was talking about the Panthers season so far. So this is what we talked about, and then we'll have a chat when we get back from the two interviews. If you've got anything to say about Panthers season so far, we've had a few tweets in, but don't forget, @CatsWhiskers TV, #TCW Live. On the podcast now, we're going to look back at the Panthers season so far. Currently, 8 regulation wins, a penalty shootout win, an overtime loss, and 3 regulation losses in the 13 games we played so far. I've been joined by a couple of Panthers fans, Max Artis and Richard Sisson. So, Max, I'll come to you first. How would you summarise the Panthers season so far?
We've got off to a winning start. I can't say the boys aren't playing too bad. The tempo for me is a bit low. I'd like to see him play a little bit more of an attacking style, a bit more fast-paced. But the stats were winning games at the end of the day.
Yeah, Richard, same question.
Basically I'd say that they're very steady. They're not pulling up any trees. They're coming across us, getting the wins, the dirty wins, which you often get like Leicester did last year at football, getting dirty wins, which I quite enjoy, because it shows that normally a Nielsen team is bang bang, exciting. This year it seems a lot more steady, so I've enjoyed it so far.
And that's an interesting point you make, because this does seem to be an incredibly gritty Panthers side. That they're digging out the wins, they're working hard for each other, but there's not necessarily a superstar. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, obviously with Schultz getting injured and then now Lawrence as well, they've been banging in the goals, or you'd hope Schultz would, but he's the one that breaks through a lot, and I would consider him to be the superstar. But there seems to be a team effort, which is the way sports is going at the moment, more team effort rather than just one superstar.
Max, has it been different seeing a gritty team rather than, as Richard says, the sort of bang bang Nielsen will score more than you, it doesn't matter if you score 5, we'll score 6 sort of team?
Yeah, it's a lot more antsy, I find, like going into the third period we might be either down a goal or we might be drawing with a team, whereas like 2-3 seasons ago you look back to people like Matt Francis and Jordan Fox who were scoring for fun basically in our league. I prefer that style, if I'm honest with you, with the scoring a lot of goals, but you've got to have faith in Corey Nielsen, if I'm honest with you. If he thinks that's what's right, then that's what we've got to put up with, that's what we're going to go with, and cheer him on no matter what.
One thing I have noticed so far is that the team seems to adapt to whoever they're playing, and that's not something that we've necessarily seen before from a Panthers team. They've always seemed to play a very similar style every game. This season there's a different style depending on who the opposition is. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I'd totally agree with that. And whether that's coming from David Clark, because they've got the extra assistant coach now, haven't they? Whether there's a bit more looking at the other teams prior to them coming and deciding how they can break them down, how they can keep them out of Mika's way. So yeah, I'd say there's a lot more thought going into the team plan at the moment. Max?
Yeah, they seem to be able to hold off the play a lot more. They seem to be absorbing the pressure of the opposition and seem to hit them on the break. And I think that's more to the fact of like they're protecting Mika a lot more, so he's not going to hopefully not get as many injuries this year, with them holding off the attack of the other team.
Which players have stood out for you? Because we've had a few new imports, but obviously we've had re-signings. I mean, for me, Robert Farmer I think has been excellent at the start of the season. Mika Viekman has been superb in net, but who else has also impressed you?
Jeff Brown really has impressed me, as well as Matt Carter. Two big bodies, two strong players that can skate forward, skate hard and really shoot a puck, so they've really impressed me.
Richard, anyone caught your eye?
I would go with Brown as well. He's the closest thing we've got to Cam, hitting and making them give up the puck a lot, which I am missing a lot, because last year we were turning over teams by Cam hitting them. We've not got that, but Brown is trying his best. Other than that, Lawrence has done brilliantly till his injury, so I'm quite impressed with them.
What about Lindhagen as a player? How do you feel he's settled into this side?
I'm still unsure yet. I get a bit nervous especially when he's playing defence. For him to go forward, I panic that he's going to get caught and we're out of position. But other than that, I do like his style. He's quite like Quick. When we had Quick, he will make that transition really well. But I'm a little bit nervous at the moment with him. So.
Max, how do you feel about the two netminder system? Do you feel it's been implemented to protect Mika Viekman a bit more and probably save him from getting them long injuries?
Yeah, definitely, and I'm really excited to see how Pacquiao keeps going. With a young goaltender like that, he's going to need games, he's going to need experience, and for him to be able to jump in when Mika's not 100%, he needs that game off, or he's got a niggling injury that he needs to get over. I trust him to go in net, to be honest with you, and with the backup of Dan Green as well, with a three netminder system, I think it's the way to go. The way that we get injuries with goalkeepers anyway.
I mean, moving on to injuries, and we seem to have hit injury trouble again this season. But I think before where the team looked tired and was getting beaten, now they really appear to be working for each other and grinding out the wins.
Yeah. There's a lot of effort going into making sure we don't give up easy goals, which prior to that I wouldn't say we've been doing brilliantly. There is something wrong with, I don't know why, but we always seem to get more injuries than most other teams, and whether that's something to do with our training I don't know, but it's frustrating, but we are working as a team, one unit, working well. Max?
Yeah, I think there's plenty of guys in the lineup, such as Ollie Betteridge now is going to thrive from the fact that Schultze's out for however long he's out for. Lawrence as well, so he's going to get the ice time. He's going to improve as a player, which means we can rely on him more, which means we've got a deeper team, and that's what I feel we have this season: a deeper, stronger team that can put up with a few injuries here or there.
What other teams have impressed you from what you've seen so far?
Unfortunately, Sheffield, they just seem to get the job done. I know they're struggling tonight, but they just have that way about them, don't they? Other than that, I enjoyed the Manchester. Not so much impressed me, but they put effort in. Every guy, like we've just been saying about Nottingham, they put every guy works for that team, and they've got the same ethics. Quite like that.
Max?
I'd say Edinburgh. I watched the webcast at the start of the season, and they've got 2 or 3 good guys, good solid team, and there's some fast players out there, some good shooters. I think they're going to be a force in this year.
And finally, before I let you go and have a drink, looking ahead towards the rest of the season, but probably towards Christmas, where do you see us, say, at Christmas?
I would say we're going to be near the top till around Christmas time, and then hopefully we'll kick on, but it depends on how this injuries goes. We don't really know much about the injuries that we've got currently. They're keeping it quiet under the hat, but I'm hoping that we'll stay around the top till Christmas and then see if we can kick on, unlike most years.
Max?
I see us around about 3rd or 4th place. I'm going to be interested to see how they come back from the Continental Cup trip they're about to go on. But yeah, I see us around 3rd or 4th by Christmas time, and then push from there.
Guys, I want to say thank you very much for answering the call and coming to talk to us, and thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Anytime.
Pleasure, Jono. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. So, Max and Richard there with their opinions on how the Panthers season has gone so far. So, Tina, I'll ask you to summarise it. How do you think Panthers are doing so far?
Steady. Cautiously optimistic. Fingers crossed. We're not going to have a repeat of Sunday, and going forward, we'll carry on with the same sort of attitude. We're ploughing through, and we're coming away with some decent wins, and we've got goals coming in from aside from yesterday, we've got goals coming in from all over the place, which is nice. I think we're a bit unlucky to lose Chris Lawrence when he seemed to be finding some regular form. Stephen Schultz seemed to be finding some regular form. He's gone out again. Can we please stop breaking Stephen Schultz? Stephen seems to be one of my taglines just lately. So hopefully we can get some bodies back. Pick up from where we left off, and maybe come back from Jacka with a nice feel good factor, ready for the rest of the Elite League season. I mean, if we do really well in the Continental Cup, then that'll be a massive feel good feeling. We'll be off to Denmark with for a few more Continental Cup games. That would be nice. So yeah, it's steady is the word I would use.
Adam?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Steady, but you have to look at the table. We're top of the table. We've got points in the bag. I know we've played more games than most of the other teams in the league, but to say we're short benched at the moment, we keep picking up the points. Yeah, yesterday was forgettable, but we still managed to salvage a point out of it. But that's all you can do. Keep picking the points up. Obviously now we've got a bit of a break for our tournament overseas. I'm just hoping that the 3 games in 3 days doesn't do for any of our players, and everybody comes back healthy to resume the league campaign upon the return. So we haven't really set the world on fire so far this season, but having said that, we are still top of the league. So what more can you ask for at this stage?
I was looking at some of the stats, and we're top of the league in the Elite League. We're currently at 81 points, or 0.813, which is a fantastic percentage. And I think Paul Thompson said in his interview after the defeat to Cardiff, this league is not a league where you win it by only losing 5 games anymore. You're probably going to lose at least 10 games in the season because the parity has become so much closer. Yeah. So I think for us to be in the position where we've got 13 points from 8 games, points in the bank, so we're not chasing anybody, they're all chasing us. And that's the best position to be in for me. And you're right, it has been steady. It's not been spectacular, but I'm quite happy with that. I like a team that works hard and grinds out wins.
Functionality.
Yeah, never said it was a bad thing, but yes, I think steady is where I feel it's at the moment.
Yeah.
One other thing I have been massively impressed with this season is the ability for the team to adapt different plans to different teams. Yeah. And we saw the game against Manchester, which was a shootout on both sides, 8-5. And then, we had the game against the Cardiff Devils, which was 2-0. Yeah. But we was under the cosh a bit, but just defensively outstanding that game. Yeah. And also, the game in Cardiff in the Challenge Cup, again, defensively brilliant. And I think we're adapting a different system depending on who we're playing. Yeah. And that has got to go down to the coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would agree with that.
You've got to give the coaching setup credit for that. What I would say is that it's great that we are able to adapt the tactics and systems on any given night to try and combat the teams that we play against, but at some point during the season we're going to have to find our own style, I guess, and then try and use that to give ourselves the best chance of winning games later on in the season.
But if we're picking up points, do we have to?
Well, no, I mean you're right, Jono, in the sense that if we keep picking points up, then does it really matter the style in which we're able to do that? Because winning's a very contagious thing, isn't it? You keep picking the points up. That's all we can really do. So, I mean, there is a school of thought to say that if you keep chopping and changing the tactics and the systems depending on who you play, but you keep picking the points up, then still go with that because it's serving you well.
Okay. Some tweets that we had in over the course of the day from some other Panthers fans. If you would like to give your opinion, it's at Cats Whiskers TV. Use the hashtag TCW Live and we will read them out in the time that we've got left. The first tweet comes from Panthers Banter. He says, like both of you do, going steady so far, just no more injuries please. Happy with a 2-week break from league action, with the Continental Cup coming up this weekend. Andy Thornton says, as long as last night was a blip, then a very positive start to the season. This group look like they'll go the extra mile for each other, team and fans, unlike some prior years. That's quite an interesting point, I think he makes there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, our most successful campaign was it contained a team that was widely credited with being a tight group of guys in the locker room. They were all friends, and everybody got on, and that made it successful. So I mean, the last time that we were able to talk in those sort of terms, look how well it went for us.
And the final one we've had from Undercover Puck, and I'm not so sure about this one, so I'll read it and then...
It's a cautious read.
It's a cautious, yeah. So, replacement needed for Steve Lee if he has retired, as rumours suggest. Now, until today, when I looked on one of the Facebook forums, I've not seen any rumours regarding the retirement of Steve Lee at all. I know there's been speculation.
Yeah, I think it's possibly the speculation has turned into a rumour. Mm-hmm. That it's possible that the rumour mill has churned out a rumour. I mean that's sort of how it is, isn't it? It's all sort of Chinese whispers, and that's how it starts, and and that's how it manifests. So, I mean, if Stevie Lee is not going to be able to come back to the Panthers, then I would agree with what he's saying, because that's a massive loss. I mean, that's Oakford and Stevie Lee both gone in one season. If obviously we're not privy to any inside information, so we can't comment either way.
And good Brits don't grow on trees.
They blooming don't.
Especially Brit D-men who are worth their weight in gold.
Very much so.
I mean, I would be cautious, and I hope it is a case of where where it is just speculation and people putting two and two together. And I hope we do see him back in a Panthers uniform in the very near future, because, like you say, it'd be a huge loss.
It'd be a loss for him. It'd be a loss for the team. It'd be a loss for GB as well. Let's not forget he is he's a quality GB defenseman. And just from a selfish point of view, as a Panthers fan, where's the next Stevie Lee coming from?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Okay, so again, if you want to get your thoughts in, at Cats Whiskers TV on Twitter, #TCW Live. Going to move on to the other Elite League results and news from the weekend, and plenty of incident in the games that took place. So we'll start with the Sheffield Steelers against the Cardiff Devils. Steelers win the Challenge Cup game in Cardiff by 5-4, but Devils scoring a couple of goals in the last couple of minutes there to make it very, very interesting.
Squeaky bum time
Indeed. However, Devils regrouped to take the league points in the game in Sheffield on Sunday night. Tom Murdy started in nets on Sunday for the Devils after Ben Bounds picked up an injury, so an even more impressive 5-2 victory for the Cardiff Devils there.
Yeah, and why not? Tom Murdy has come from a very good team, and there's nothing to say that he can't one day be an Elite League starter. So that's going to give him some massive confidence, and credit to him. Credit to him. I mean, credit to the Cardiff Devils team defence as well, because they obviously did the job they needed to protect their netminder.
But not at the expense of going forwards, because they scored 5 goals. So it wasn't the case where they knew they could only score 2, but they had to keep it tight because they could only concede 1. It sounds like they've got a lot of confidence in Tom Murdy, and as Tina said, I think that confidence is very well placed, because he did very well at Telford.
Yeah, if you get a chance, go and have a look at the highlights of that game from Sheffield last night, because there's a save that Tom Murdy makes. I think it's in the second period, that is unbelievable. Is it Jonathan Fernie and Stephen Dowes on commentary they're both agape at the save. It's an incredible save. So go and have a look at that. I think it's Steelers TV and on YouTube. So yeah, well worth a view. The Braehead Clan hit form with 2 wins against Fife, a league win on Saturday night and a Challenge Cup win on Sunday night. But they could be facing DOPS investigations after 2 players were thrown out on Sunday. Jay Rosehill for a 5+ game for cross-checking, and Callum Boyd with a match penalty for slew footing. Now, we watched this footage just before we came on air. Oh my word.
Wow. Oh, Purple Army, you poor lot. You have got a lot to talk about on your podcast this week. Yeah, that was it was a bit of a gruesome watch. If either of those escape further bans, I will be absolutely flabbergasted. Yeah, I mean, we've sort of had a bit of a chat about it, and all the sort of reasons behind Rosehill's retaliation, if you will, because he's busy cross-checking Boyd in front of the net. That's a big sort of tussle royale that's going on there. Because Boyd is to a certain extent getting ragdolled a little bit, and Rosehill is purely watching the puck. I don't think he's got eyes on where Boyd's body position is at all. Catches him in the face with his stick. He's down on the floor, and at that point Shane Owen gives him a dig in the calf with his blocker, and Rosehill thinks that Boyd's done it, so he goes at him again. And I mean, it's you sort of look at it and wince a little bit. Regardless of what's happened to Rosehill, you don't just go down on with your stick on a guy's face while you've already put him there in the first place. Mm-hmm. It's not good. It's not good at all.
It's a dangerous hit.
And Adam, the slew footing. I mean, that was Darryl Lloyd to be proud.
Yes.
No, but Darryl Lloyd never did any slew footing.
No.
We'll have a view from John Auerbach's.
But it's a dangerous play. It's a really dangerous play. I mean, they're both going for the puck, both going into the corner, and the slew footing obviously takes takes the player straight out there, and they could really go into the boards at high speed there because you're just out of control. You can't kind of like protect yourself from the impact that's coming. So it was a really, really dirty play, I thought. So definitely worthy of a match penalty. No argument with that whatsoever. Yeah,
be very, very interesting, especially after the controversy with the Peacock Incident last week. I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how Dops deal with this.
I think Dops have got to do something, unfortunately, because I think that there is already, a bit of a question over the whole Peacock Incident, and Clan now coming under scrutiny again because of these two incidents. And it's one of them cheesy phrases that hockey players have got long memories, and if Dops don't, obviously they've got to work with what's available to them in the rule book, but if nothing further comes of that, you could, as we've sort of talked about before, you could find the Tyson Marsh effect starting to come on, and players will be taking it into their own hands. It'll escalate. The coaches have got to be aware of all of this, and they've got to take responsibility for their teams as well. And it's so difficult when you're on the ice and the emotions are high, and as you say, hockey players have got long memories, so it's very precarious, I think, at the moment.
And I think Dops probably need to do something just to take the sting out of the next time the two teams play each other, because it's a feisty rivalry, Clan and Flyers, and it's great to see such a strong rivalry north of the border. But you don't want it characterised by actions that we saw in the games this weekend. Okay, there's always going to be a place for aggression in hockey, but I think that was overstepping the line this weekend.
And Marie-Jean has been in touch. He reckons probably a maximum 1 game bans, if anything, based on Dops 2015-16 and 2016-17 so far. So nice to see Ant's got a lot of confidence in Dops working well.
It's part of Dops.
The first point of the Belfast Giants 4-point weekend was a 4-1 victory in Coventry on Saturday. It's a match I actually watched on webcast because I was a bit of a loose end Saturday night with no child to look after and the wife away in Cardiff. So I thought I'd watch an Elite League game. One thing that struck me about it was how easy Giants coasted to the victory, but also defensive and netminder mix-ups that led to the Belfast goals. But also that the Coventry just look a team completely and utterly devoid of confidence at the minute.
Yeah, I didn't see the game, but Coventry's recent form, I guess if you're a Blaze fan, is very, very alarming. They've slumped recently and they find themselves down towards the bottom of the Elite League. They've got to try and dig themselves out of the trough. I haven't seen the mix-ups between the defenseman and the netminder Stewart, but if they're making routine mistakes like that, then it doesn't really bode well for them finding some form anytime soon, does it?
One thing that surprised me was the opening goal for Belfast. A great shot by Derek Walser, but Stewart's 5-hole was so big you could have driven a bus through it, and that's unusual from him.
Yeah,
he normally has a very good, his 5-hole control is very good, but you saw it on the footage. His legs were so far apart. He's just like.
Well, just a sort of quick look. In comparison to last year, we were talking about Brian Stewart and the amount of shots that he was facing. He isn't facing nearly that many shots, and he's losing games. It's not like him.
Perhaps he's a netminder that just likes to be busy. He thrives when he's facing a lot of rubber from all directions.
Yeah, Coventry's form, as you say, it's not been all that good, but he was doing better last year, facing on average more shots per game. Yeah. So
concentration problems?
Well, who knows? Only Brian Stewart knows that, I think.
But all in all, a very good win for the Giants, and of course that led to their 4-point weekend. We'll not mention. Well, we've already mentioned their second victory, but I think we've squeezed enough out of that one. I think. Yeah. Blaze also went down again the next night by the same scoreline in Edinburgh. So the Caps they had a loss against the Manchester Storm on Saturday, and then got the win against Coventry on Sunday 4-1. So Caps still doing very, very steady.
Well, it's first half of the season, isn't it? they traditionally do quite well at this end of the season. It's just whether or not they can sustain it. I'm sure. We've said it before. We've we've played a blinder because we're not playing until March.
Well, away from home, I think we've got a couple of weeks in the NIC. But yeah, it's good to see a strong Edinburgh side this time. From what I'm picking up is the Eastern European signings that they made. A couple of quality Russians doing very, very well. Yeah,
but the key is to keep that roster together because we've seen it, and history tends to repeat itself with the Capitals, that they have a promising start. People think that they're going to be the surprise challenger of the season, and then invariably they run into financial woes. A few months into the season, and those quality players either leave the UK or get reassigned to other teams in the Elite League. So if they can keep that roster together, then I think that they'll certainly have a very good season this season.
Yeah. Finally, the Dundee Stars, they grabbed their first league win against the Storm, but they released forward Tomoso Traversa, I hope I've said that right, and they've signed a Dutch international, Kevin Broestein, to boost their ranks. So nice to see the Stars get on the board in the Elite League, and they'll do okay, I think.
I think they'll do okay, but I don't think okay will be good enough for the Fave. I think he wants more than that, and the fact that they're already making changes, and it's not injury changes, it's changes that they think they need to make. I mean it's almost a statement of intent. I think it is the Fave saying, this isn't good enough.
He said that he didn't like the balance of his side, so he went out and made the change, and that's a sign of a headstrong coach. I think.
Well, it's all very well having your team on paper. I mean, a lot of Dundee's roster was signed very early on. I mean, some of them were signed before they even finished last season. So, it's all very well having your team on paper, but it doesn't always work out like that. So, he's obviously, happy enough to make the calls, make the calls like that, and fine, fair play to him. He's obviously not happy with the way the Dundee Stars are going. Okay, is obviously not good enough.
The only problem for him is if this move doesn't work out and the replacement Dutch forward doesn't quite, light the lamp as much as Lefebvre would like, then how soon again does Lefebvre have to make another change?
Well, he actually said in his in the PR for the signing that he wanted a genuine top line forward, and so he is putting a bit of pressure on the guy before he even comes in. But if this is the guy who is going to start lighting the lamp for them, then we could be seeing several more wins for the Dundee Stars in the near future.
And if not, I have no doubt that he'll have no hesitation in making more changes. His start is to go on. I mean, he's got high hopes.
Yeah. Okay, I think we'll leave it there for this edition of the podcast. Just a couple of things about the rest of the week. With paternity leave for Andy, and I'm heading off to Spain tomorrow to take part in the Continental Cup broadcast, and just a general lack of bodies, a few injuries, short bed. So there will be no Ask TCW podcast for the next couple of weeks. We will still have our Thursday night podcast, our weekend review, but no Ask TCW for a couple of weeks. Don't let that stop you getting the questions in at Cats Whiskers TV, #AskTCW. Any hockey related question that you want to put into us, and we will hold it until our next Ask TCW, which will be on the 2nd of November. Also worth pointing out that the games this weekend will be live on Premier Sports. Friday night's game was a 7 p.m. face-off UK time. Saturday and Sundays will be 3:30 p.m. face-off UK time. If you haven't got Sky or Virgin but still want to watch the games, then there is Premier Player, which is the Premier Sports online portal. I believe it's available for $9.95 a month, and I don't think you have to sign a contract, but we'll find that out and we'll confirm that on Thursday night's podcast. So you will be able to watch it online, all 3 games. It will be available to you should you so wish. All that remains to be said is thank you very much, Tina.
Lovely. TTFN.
And thank you very much, Adam.
No problem.
And I will not be around Thursday. I may be dragged in from northern Spain if I can get a good enough Wi-Fi signal and Skype signal, and we finish setting up for Friday. But
well, if not, I'm going to be lonely. So please talk to me.
Thank you very much for listening. Many thanks to Max and Richard for talking to us yesterday as well. And once again, many congratulations to Andy Louise on the birth of little Thea. That's it for this edition of the Cats Whiskers podcast, and we will be back on Thursday. Thanks for listening.